New in the last 5 minutes, Iran calls Trump feeble-minded for moving U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. U.S. transferring 50 employees to Jerusalem Embassy in the last half hour. Tight security in Jerusalem for inauguration of U.S. Embassy. Embassy move leaves Jerusalem uncertain. U.S. Embassy's move to Jerusalem necessary. U.S. to move Embassy to Jerusalem as Mideast tensions simmer in the last hour. Hizbullah official says Trump embassy decision worthless. Security, road closures and speechmaking. The U.S. Embassy moves to Jerusalem. U.S. opens embassy in Jerusalem to coincide with Israel's 70th anniversary. Jerusalem gears up to welcome the new U.S. Embassy in the last 2 hours. Friendly embrace or deliberate insult. Trump's embassy opening. Does both Eric at Trump promoting international anarchy with embassy move? Iran says Trump feeble-minded for Jerusalem embassy move. U.S. Embassy move could prove to be the perfect storm. U.S. set for controversial Jerusalem embassy move in the last 4 hours. Applause. Protests as U.S. Embassy moves. Trump negotiator claims U.S. Embassy Jerusalem move necessary for peace. Emerging Europe trio block joint EU statement on U.S. Embassy in Israel. U.S. Embassy to open in Jerusalem amid applause and protests. Most EU ambassadors absent as Israel marks U.S. Embassy move. U.S. to open Jerusalem Embassy despite Palestinian tension. Romney slams Trump's choice of bigot pastor for Jerusalem Embassy. Prayer in the last 6 hours. History about to be made in the Holy Land with U.S. Embassy move in the last 8 hours. U.S. set for deeply controversial Jerusalem Embassy move. Israel begins celebrations to mark Jerusalem U.S. Embassy opening. U.S. Embassy opens in Jerusalem. 9 things to know about the city. Joe Lieberman applauds Trump on embassy move. Earlier today, U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem ready for controversial opening. The embassy move is more than just a move. Watch. U.S. opening new American embassy in Jerusalem. U.S. set to break with tradition and open embassy in Jerusalem. Yesterday, Ivanka arrives for controversial opening of U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. Embassy move new blow to statehood. Israeli soccer team adding Trump to name to celebrate embassy move ahead of official embassy opening. It's Jerusalem of red, white and blue. U.S. delegation arrives in Israel ahead of Jerusalem Embassy opening. U.S. Embassy move deals blow to Palestinian hopes ahead of Nakba video. Jared and Ivanka arrive in Israel for embassy opening. Bolton, embassy in Jerusalem is recognition of reality. U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem opens to a fraud climate. Israel destroys Gaza tunnel as U.S. prepares to open Jerusalem Embassy. Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner arrive in Jerusalem ahead of U.S. Embassy opening. U.S. Embassy in Israel to open. Security prepared for all scenarios. Beitar Jerusalem adds Trump to its name to honor embassy move. Ivanka Trump in Israel to open U.S. Embassy. U.S. Embassy in Israel to open. Security prepared for all situations. Jared Kushner, Ivanka Trump arrive in Israel for Jerusalem Embassy opening. Trump delegation arrives in Israel ahead of controversial embassy opening. U.S. delegation arrives in Jerusalem ahead of controversial embassy move. Netanyahu welcomes U.S. delegation to Jerusalem on eve of embassy opening. Trump is making history, Netanyahu says ahead of U.S. Embassy opening. Ivanka Trump arrives in Israel ahead of U.S. Embassy move. Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner in Israel ahead of U.S. Embassy opening. Jared and Ivanka arrive in Israel for Jerusalem Embassy dedication. Judge Pirro praises Trump for moving embassy in Israel. Ivanka Trump in Jerusalem for embassy opening as Gaza braces for bloodshed. Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump arrive in Israel for U.S. Embassy opening. Netanyahu, Jared Kushner meet in Jerusalem ahead of embassy opening.